Welcome back to Tactical Insight. Arsenal make it comfortable once again in the Premier League. I say once again, of course, it was Sheffield United who beat 5-0 2 weeks ago. We had a little bit of a stumble against Newcastle. It was a bad week with the exit in the Carabao Cup, but a good response with 2 home games, making it very comfortable against Sevilla and against Burnley, and a really good response here with Graham to discuss it all. Good win, and we now have to go into international breaks, Graham.
Yeah, we go into international break, James, just 1 point behind Man City. A good response to last week's defeat at Newcastle, ultimately breaking down a very stubborn Burnley side, who I thought changed the way they played in this game. I've watched Burnley quite a few times this season. They've been more open this, but they came to the Emirates clearly with a game plan to frustrate and were very compact in the first half. And ultimately we got there via Trossard's opener, a very brave goal by him, the 1,000th goal at Emirates Stadium. And when they equalised in the second half, we scored from 2 set plays. And I think set plays have become a very important part of the way Arsenal are scoring the goals this season, which I know we're going to talk about today. But in the end, yes, great to get back to winning ways. Yeah,
absolutely. We start, as always, with the match stats. We had 16 shots to Burnley's 8, 6 on target to their 5 on target with 64% of the ball, 490 passes. They've got about 268. And an XG of 2.27 to their 0.3. Arsenal very comfortable in all metrics, in the final score, in everything really. And they did get the equaliser, as you mentioned. It did give us a little bit of a, we're going to let this one slip. But Arsenal responded really well, showed a maturity and level head throughout. The attacking stats, good as well. As you can see, 56 final third entries to their 33. More deep touches, of course, more zone 14 touches, and a field tilt very much in Arsenal's favour. And the defensive stats, which I'll fly through because we've got some better ones to cover. 19 tackles to their 12, 2 interceptions to their 10, but the big one, 5.2 passes per defensive action to their 18.2. It's funny because I actually felt Burnley they had a bit of a go. They did try and play their football when they got the ball, but still they had to be quite patient when Arsenal had the ball because Arsenal retained possession really, really well. And yes, they wanted to press a little bit. They wanted to engage when they could. They just recognised it was very difficult to.
Yeah, I will give Burnley credit. They did force Rayo into a couple of saves in the first half.
Yeah,
he made one very good save down to his left-hand side. I think ultimately what we're seeing this year from Arsenal is very controlled football, James. I think we're getting there this season, getting the results in a totally different way. You mentioned the field tilt. Field tilt is a big part of football now. Gives you control, what Arteta wants in build-up. He wants control, and he wants control through each third of the pitch. It's not as exciting as last year, but we're still dominating teams in the fact that we're having possession. And ultimately, we scored 3 goals.
Yeah, and that's the most important thing. But our defensive numbers, despite the lack of a clean sheet in this game, are still superb. Now, you sent these all through. And look, I kind of thought, well, let's take the best ones. But in reality, I think we should go through them because this back four, whether it's Tomiyasu, White, whoever, with Raya in goal, the midfield through the work that they put in. People have questions on Havertz, sure. People might not think Jorginho's a long-term option. But defensively, throughout the whole team, they're doing their thing. The numbers tell you, 8 shots allowed by Arsenal in this game. That's the 8th time this season that Arsenal have held their opponents to under 10 shots per game. I love that you sent these all through, Graham, because there's so much detail. 100 shots allowed by Arsenal this season is the 2nd fewest in the league. A 0.3 XG for Burnley, the 7th time this season Arsenal have held their opponents to an XG of under 1 in a league game. 9.2 XG allowed this season is the 2nd fewest in the league, but you've made it, there's a correction to that now. I believe it's the fewest now after Man City's result against Chelsea, which is pretty incredible. I mean, that just shows you how little we're allowing teams. 0.04, the average chance quality for Burnley in the game. 19.1 is the average distance in yards for Burnley's shots. 18 is the Arsenal's average distance for shots faced against, the longest average in the league. We're making teams have shots from distance. They're not high quality chances. And 8 times this season, Arsenal have held their opponents to under 0.11 XG per shot, which is the overall league average. I know there's a lot to digest there, people, but it just tells you, in however you want to measure the shots we can see, teams are going to have shots. Teams have quality. Burnley are managed by a company who's done a very good job there. Teams are going to cause you trouble, but it's how much can you limit that? And Arsenal are doing as good a job, if not the best job in the league at it.
And I think that is, for me, the success of how he's changed this season. Because people talk about we're not so fluid this season. I think, as I said last week, I think last season when we started to concede goals, he would have known that we conceded a lot of goals, obviously from mistakes, but in transition. So what he's tried to do this season is to get the team not only controlling the football, but have, when they're on the ball, but off the ball, that we're set up to stop transitions. That's the most important thing. Most goals in football come from either mistakes or transitions. So the way the team's structured now, he's got, I think, 2 top quality centre-backs, James. Saliba and Gabriel is a really good centre-half pairing. And he's got Tommy Asu as well, who stepped in for Ben White. Ben White, unfortunately, missed out on Saturday. He's been also really good defensively. Now, when we're playing against a team with a low block like Burnley, he'll want someone like Zinchenko. What he offers you when he inverts and when he gets into the midfield, which we're going to talk about today in the final third. So he's got, I think, good defenders now, but he's also set the team up in a shape to stop teams from scoring. And that comes, for me, from being able to stop them when we lose the ball. So when we lose the ball, their transitions we're able to deal with far better this season than we did last season.
Yeah, and last season we were incredibly open. I always go back to this game. People are so bored of me saying it, but we beat Everton 4-0 at home at the Emirates last season. I think it was around February time. But I said we looked very open though, and I'm not sure that another team that's a bit more defensively solid and a bit more efficient in the first half, in front of goal, don't get a few more goals in that first half. And it looks like Arteta's controlling that a little bit more and trying to take charge of those situations, because yes, last season we were scintillating and you couldn't fault us going forward, but there was something that actually started to rear its head more as the end of the season approached and the big games, and then you're conceding 2 against West Ham and 3 against Southampton, 2 at Anfield and all that, and that's what he's trying to avoid. Now, we've got Arsenal's shape here. That was the 11. Trossard obviously kept his place after the performance in midweek, but if we just move everyone along, I'm going to just show a few things here. This is Arsenal's sort of build-up shape at the back. Zinchenko will still come wide. Rice will be there to progress. But you wanted to talk about this part, when Zinchenko gets the ball and how they then engage on Zinchenko. And this was Burnley's plan to try and stop Arsenal.
Yeah, I think when I watched Burnley this season, they've been more attacking than this, but they've been more passive off the ball. I thought Company recognised, and you would have known about Zinchenko's strengths through his days at Man City. So obviously he wanted to stop Zinchenko and build up. So he had one of his midfielders, 4 players, immediately when the ball went to Zinchenko, he was straight on him to try and stop him from building up from deep.
Sure.
And I think that was their plan in the first half. They were sort of like they were pressing more than I thought they would. But there was a clear plan to stop Zinchenko in the first half.
Yeah, and then this was addressed by this little tweak here. You were saying that when we kind of did get deep into their half, the role of these 4, but these 3 in particular, was very interesting.
Yeah, I think that we talked about last week about the fact we're having problems going through the centre of the pitch, and the numbers through the centre of the pitch have been down this season. We haven't had technicians like Zinchenko in the team for most of the season. Now, what he did in this game, I thought, was a slight tweak. I thought early on he was trying to invert here to build up.
I'll do this.
Apologies for that.
No, there you go.
But I think as the half wore on, I think he started to take up more forward positions in the centre of the pitch. The advantage of that is, I think he joined Havertz and Rice as like a 3v2, an overload round their double pivot, so you've got an extra man in there, and also he can get on the ball more. I know you're going to show numbers today. He had most touches and most passes of any Arsenal player in the final third. That's because he came in here. Yeah. He drifted out sometimes to the right. I think occasionally Jorginho and him swap places, but his absolute technical quality on the ball that he has, why not use that, James? So he came into, I thought, give us an overload in midfield. He was playing more in midfield. He started off as left back. Then he went to sort of try and invert to build the play. But he ended up for the second half of the first half and most of the second half more advanced here, I think, in the centre of the pitch alongside our number 8s to give them problems. They, in the end, were allowing all the play became congested. And what they had was, I noticed Saliba had the ball a lot here. There was very little space. The whole play then came back within 10-15 metres. There was very few gaps. But Zinchenko was very good, and this is where he's really good. He's very good at picking up a gap, and I thought he controlled the tempo really well, and that was the tweak I noticed on Saturday from the start of the game and as the game sort of like played out.
Well, we may as well give his numbers now. 117 touches in the game, 83 out of 95 passes completed, 2 key passes. He completed all 7 of his 7 attempted long balls. He obviously scored a goal. What a great goal it was, by the way. He won 7 out of 8 aerial duels, 7 out of 8 ground duels, completed 5 tackles and made the 1 clearance. But I'm really glad we've got some defensive stats in there, because I actually thought he more than did his bit defensively too. When they were trying to break with Goodmanson down this side at times, he was just there to just get a foot in front, win the ball, and suddenly we were attacking in transition and win his headers. And then, the midfielders come to support, and suddenly we're going the other way.
Yeah, and I thought
he did his job really well.
He did, and I'll tell you where he was exceptional, I thought, was when Fabio Vieira got his red card in the second half.
Yeah.
And then we were a man light, albeit for only at about 10 minutes. But I think he became even more influential then in defensively. He is criticised, of course, for not being defensive side. It's not the strongest side of his game, but I think he won most aerial duels and most tackles in the game. And I thought he was really good in that period when the team needed a bit of solidity. Because Burnley were, albeit 3-1 down, but we just lost a player. This was, I think, his best performance in an Arsenal shirt for some time.
I think for sure the best of this season.
Yeah.
And a lot of people have quickly written him off because Timber looked really great in pre-season in the Community Shield, and Tomiyasu's done a fantastic job stepping in, and we're talking about being more defensively solid, and Zinchenko, I think his form in the run-in was a little bit used against him. But I said on Forever Arsenal that when he is playing at his best and finding the pockets and finding the lines, and by the way, at his best means also a very dependable defensive option, not just what he does on the ball. That's when I think Arsenal are at their best, and I want Zinni to get to a regular level like this.
Yes, and of course, and just one final point, he's heavily involved in the goals.
Yeah.
So when we had our 5 lines, we got our 5 lines here.
Yeah.
He drifted over here.
Yeah.
And he receives and he plays an absolutely delicious cross in, and I think it's Saka who heads it back across goal.
It is. Let's show it.
And Trossard then finishes the movement.
Because you're right, because here's Zinchenko, and we're going to talk about set pieces. I know you've got a lot of great stats on that, but it's not just set pieces, it's open play crosses. All 11 Burnley players are in this cluster right here. Let's, we'll do it in blue. Just look how condensed that is. It is so difficult to score in. But Arsenal respond by ensuring they have 3 players attacking the ball themselves, 2 on the edge of the area, both protecting the transition, but also for anything to fall onto the edge of the area, because when this ball comes in from Zinchenko, it's a lovely cross, Saka attacks it. Interesting that Saka attacks it and Havertz at the back post. He tends to measure his runs to the back post. He's not attacking that central space. It's back post almost to then nod it onto someone else. But Rice and Tommy are there. Saka does brilliantly, and Trossard bravely puts it in the back of the net.
Yeah, and it comes from a really top quality delivery from Zinchenko. I think I said last week, I wanted to see Saka getting closer to goal. And I think we've seen in the Seville game and even in this game, Havertz dropping out more in the wide areas and Saka coming more inside and trying to get closer to goal. And even Saka switching lanes, coming over to the other side more. So I think, just coming back to the role of Zinchenko, this is what he offers you. He can play out wide, he can come inside. They're pretty set because they're trying to cover Arsenal's 5 lanes, but he just knows where to go on the pitch, doesn't he? Yeah. He's always available. Yeah. And he's a bit like Trossard. The quality these 2 players have got is they make players around them look better, and that's what he did with that cross.
Completely agree. Let's talk about Leandro Trossard and try to annotate a little bit just how brilliant he was. We've talked about his goal, but when you move everyone into this attacking shape right here, he picks up this pocket, sure, but it's his ability to interchange with everyone else. I have long said Arsenal will discover not full last season fluidity best, because it's something that Arteta's changed tactically, and no player can really change that much if we're talking about something that Arteta's trying to implement throughout the 11. But I've always said that if you get him in this side, you're going to start to see a little bit more of that front 3 come to life, a little bit more unpredictability, and you're going to start asking questions of these centre-backs. And I felt we saw that again. We saw it against Sevilla, and we saw it again against Burnley. 2 starts in a row. I really hope if Jesus isn't fit to start, at the turn of the international break, there's Trossard he calls upon. Now, let's go through some numbers. Goal involvements. Saka has 14 goal involvements this season with 6 goals and 8 assists, which is why I'm going to pause on the Trossard thing for 1 second just to say, I feel I owe him an apology. And the reason is because I don't think what we've said has been untrue, that Saka hasn't had his best start to the season. But oh my word, 14 goal involvements. It's
15 now, isn't it?
Is it 15 now?
I think it's 15.
What? So that no, I think
No,
it's,
it's 14,
I looked
no,
it up. It's 14.
Sorry,
yeah.
it's 14. Yeah, 8 goals.
Yeah,
6
so
assists,
14 goal
apologies.
involvements, and he's not at his best.
No.
6 goals, 8 assists in all competitions.
Yeah.
That's pretty phenomenal. It's 4-4 in the league,
Yeah.
so that's 8 and 12 games. And he's not at his best. I stand by that.
Yeah.
But fair play to him. And just to run through the rest, Trossard's got 6 goals, 2 assists. Nketiah's got 5 goals, 1 assist. Ødegaard, 5 goals, 1 assist. Jesus, 4 goals, 1 assist. And he's been injured and missed a lot of the season, so fair play to him. Martinelli, 2 goals, 3 assists. They're all chipping in.
They are. And I think the thing I like about Trossard is this relationship he's now got with Bukayo. There seems to be a really good relationship there already. We were missing. The best thing about Arteta's team for me is the combinations he's got in the team. Last year you had White, Saka and Ødegaard on the right hand side. You had Martinelli, Xhaka and Zinchenko on the left. It was Zinchenko on the left. It was combinations. It was beautiful fluidity and combinations, right? And we've lost a bit of that this season because obviously we've got different combinations, of course, and injuries as well. But one thing we saw with Trossard is in this game is his ability to connect to both sides of the pitch. And I think he offers a different dynamic to Eddie. He's the nearest replacement we've got to Gabriel Jesus in that. I mean, I noticed on Saturday he was sort of like coming deep to sort of build the play. He can do that. I know Eddie does that as well. Then he was making his runs, stretching the defence in behind. Those are traits you'd expect a forward player to make, and Eddie does do that. But the difference between him and Eddie is in the wide areas. How he's able to come out on the left-hand side and combine with Gabriel Martinelli, allowing Martinelli, if he wants to make a run inside. You know, that is a combination they've got there. But also, he's very comfortable, James, at coming over to the right-hand side, and he's got this lovely combination going with Bukayo now. Bukayo has, I think, assisted him on a number of his goals.
Every single goal that he's scored this season has been a
So he's comfortable on both sides of the pitch. He's comfortable coming deep to short to receive the ball to build the play. He's able to run in behind the stretch of defence. When you're playing against teams with a low block, 2 things you have to do. Obviously, you want to control the football, like Mikel asked his players to do, but you want to stretch teams. You want to move players around, get shapes collapsed. And when you've got players like him who are able to, very comfortable with left and right foot moving around, stretching their team across the pitch, that's how you open them up. And the other thing is, I think that his shots, there was a few instances on Saturday where Arsenal players were in good positions. The crowd was shouting, shoot, shoot. And players were almost like not frightened to take a shot. One thing you can say about Trossard is he shoots when he gets the opportunity. And that's what, you know, I think he's got a lot of qualities.
He might be our purest striker of the football, to be honest. I think his ability to just find half a yard and get a shot at goal, we didn't necessarily see it in this game, but this is why I said on Forever Arsenal again that go watch Forever Arsenal, I keep referencing it.
Do I get any stick this week?
No, actually, no. They always come for tactical, but that's a lead judge's issue.
Yeah, tell judges, mate, that I outdid him on the views on the video this week.
I'll let him know, because that will hurt him.
That will hurt him. Outdid him. The great man got beat this week.
But then he'll come back for us again. You know, I was saying on it that if you are going to play a game and a style of football that controls the margins more, that is less about chaos and chance, then isn't Trossard exactly the player you want? Because he can do something out of nothing. And I think that's why I'm surprised Arteta's not used him as much this season. But when he has, apart from the Fulham game at home this season, Trossard's looked really good. So I'd be gaming that team. I do want to bring up some stats. I'm recycling stats, apologies. I use these in the Sevilla Tactical Insight, but I wanted to talk about the impact that Trossard is having that's more similar to Jesus than what we're seeing from Eddie Nketiah. And look, a lot of you, if you watch the Sevilla Tactical Insight, would have seen this, that our strikers and its combinations with wide players, if you go all the way back to Sevilla away a few weeks ago now, you can see that Jesus combined with Martinelli 15 times and Saka 5 times. It's a total of 20. Nketiah combined with the wide players 11 times against Sheffield United at home, where he scored a hat-trick, and 9 times away at Newcastle. But then Trossard at home to Sevilla combined 15 times, 6 with Martinelli, 9 with Saka, and 18 times against Burnley. Weirdly enough, only twice with Saka, but like we mentioned, Saka always finding the assist for Trossard, and he was getting into those spaces, trying to combine with him and Havertz too. So he is just working with them more. And does that equate for that much? I mean, it looks like it is, but it's just the fact that he brings them into play more. It's like you said, the interchanging of the players. you want the front three to combine. It's as simple as that. And if they're not, you've got a problem.
If you've got front three who are very comfortable in each other's positions, I think that's a massive advantage. I also think timing is, when teams are playing low block and you're just looking for that, it's, as you talked about, fine margins, you're just looking for a space, aren't you? The timing has got to be just right. When you've got that sort of connection that you've got in these three and they're all comfortable in each other's area of the pitch, you're more likely to find that. And I think that's the advantage. I think he needs to go with this front three now, Martinelli, Trossard and Saka. We've seen over the last week how it works. No disrespect to Eddie, but I think Trossard now has come in, and I think all the time Gabriel Jesus is out, I think he's made his a strong case now for that forward spot.
I agree, and you say we've learned in last week. We learned a lot of last season as well. Just to look, it's not to really kind of smash home that point about, you know, Trossard versus Nketiah, but we do have Trossard's numbers versus Burnley compared to Nketiah's average. We'll show you them here on screen. The one thing I will say is that obviously we've got to take into context that Eddie would have played games like Tottenham at home, United at home, Newcastle away, City. Yeah. So he started all those games, and some of them were really big wins and good performances. But for the sake of context, Trossard has he attempted 36 passes in the game to Nketiah's average of 16.7, and he's Trossard's numbers in this game were up on almost everything. You can see there, shots fairly even, but progressive passes a lot better, touches in the box a lot higher, touches in the final third almost double, actually more than double, and the percentage of passes of Trossard's that went forward, 33% to Eddie's 8.5% average for the season. Like I said, there's context to the Eddie numbers, but it just shows you what a big jump it was and why on the eye it did look a lot better from Leandro Trossard.
One point I make on that, James, when I was looking at that very quickly, the one stat I thought that surprised me was shots. I know I said Trossard takes shots, but that's Eddie's bread and butter. Yeah, goals, shots at goal. That's what he brings to the team. And when I know it's a very small margin, something like 3 shots he had a goal against Burnley, 2.9 Eddie averages. But even in shots, which is Eddie's strength, Trossard had the slight edge. Very true.
Let's end on set pieces for the closing stats. There's a bit you wanted to talk about this. Of course, Saliba gets the header, Trossard with the assist, and then we have the moment with the Zinchenko goal, fantastic bit of skill, but again it comes off doing well from a set piece. And we've got some interesting numbers. That 1.15 is Arsenal's open play XG per match, which is the 11th in the league, which is very, very low, but we're first in the league with 0.88 XG for Arsenal's set play chance creation. 5.6 XG from corners this season puts Arsenal first. 7 goals from corner kicks this season puts Arsenal first in the league, and 42.5% of Arsenal's corners this season have led to a shot. That's a very, I mean, that's almost 1 every 2 set pieces, or corners, sorry, is resulting in Arsenal having a shot on goal, which is very impressive. And we saw Havertz missed a big chance, Gabriel missed a chance from set pieces. So Arsenal, I felt at the beginning of the season and end of last season, had almost slowed down a little bit in this area, but picked up drastically really since match week 4, since the Declan Rice goal as well.
Yeah, I think the massive advantage that Arteta's got now is in the players that he has in the box for set plays. Yeah, you're talking about 6-foot+ players, quite a few of them now. You're talking about Tomiyasu, you're talking about Gabriel, you're talking about Saliba, you're talking about Havertz, you're talking about Declan Rice. There's 5 massive guys, and when you've got players of the quality of Bukayo Saka and Trossard who can swing balls into that box, that is an enormous advantage. I've always said in football, set plays are an important part of the game. Games are very tight, and they're sometimes settled on set plays. That's why teams have set piece coaches now. And we've got really good at this now, but we've got the players now to take advantage of it. On the goal, the second goal, because that was a crucial part of the game on Saturday, Burnley had just drawn level with the deflected shot from Brownhill. We go straight down the other end, we get the corner. And the other thing that they do quite well, Arsenal now from corners, is they pin the goalkeeper a lot. And they've got a big guy, Declan Rice, who throughout that game was more often than not pinning Trafford, their goalkeeper. And that stopped him getting to the ball, and Saliba's able to head in. The 3 things that Mikel's done really well, I think, over the last year, is that he's got this team now playing the way they play, control football and build up. He's got them structurally set well to stop transitions, and he's got a set piece coach who's developed them at set plays. That is why we are doing, I think as well, challenging for the league again this year. We're not as fluid as last year. We're not playing so much in transition. We haven't got so many direct attacks. Our direct attacks are down. We don't score goals in the first 15 minutes of games anymore, but we do control games, and we're getting there, and we're getting there in a style that he wants to implement. He would never have had that game yesterday. Chelsea, Man City, you know, Pep. I've never seen a Pep team ripped open.
I know.
The gap between the defence and the midfield is so wide. Arteta wouldn't allow that. He's got Arsenal set up now in a shape to actually not only control the ball when we go forward, but structurally be able to stop transitions.
It's funny because...
one final point, the set plays, I thought in the end made the difference on Saturday.
Yeah, it's funny because I never would have thought Pep would have allowed that either. And actually, funnily enough, at Stamford Bridge, both teams have struggled with Chelsea's intensity, which kind of shows you when you look at what City are doing against sides that we've faced. There's somewhat, how do I put it? We're sort of on par with what City are doing. We seem to be performing in a similar manner. As you get the closing stats up, I just want to give credit to this player, Jorginho. I thought has been brilliant. 3 games in a row now in a week. You know, a lot of questions have been asked about can he play 3 games in a week, but he's coming through it incredibly comfortably. Declan Rice, especially when we went down to 10 men, obviously we lost Vieira. You know, Rice just had to, he was pressing up the pitch and he was dropping into shape. Arsenal got into their back 5 with Kivior coming in and just saw the game out brilliantly.
Yeah, just quickly on him, he has become like a leader on the pitch now, hasn't he?
He has.
He's the captain, he's Arteta's man, and he's getting a lot of praise, quite rightly, for the way that not only he's playing at the moment, the way he's guiding the young players in the team and getting them all set up. He's been really good over the last few weeks. But anyway,
agree.
On to the closing stats.
Go on, take it away.
Take it away, James. Leonardo Trossard's opener was Arsenal's 1,000th goal at the Emirates Stadium in all competitions. They're just the 3rd Premier League side to score 1,000 goals at the venue since the 2006-07 season. They've now scored 1,002. The 2 teams above us at the moment are Man City 1,138 at the Etihad and Chelsea 1,028 at Stamford Bridge.
Interesting. I'm surprised Liverpool aren't in there.
Liverpool aren't in there.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I'll put the questions to you now that I put to Robbie on Saturday, and Robbie stumbled his lines.
Okay, cool.
Sorry, Robbie. I know you're enjoying your holiday in Miami, I think he is at the moment. Who scored Arsenal's first goal at the Emirates?
No, okay, Gilberto. I do know that one, Gilberto.
Right, and who got the 500th?
It was Mikel Arteta, wasn't it? Right, so I remember seeing those, but I also then, I think I remember reading that I think Adebayor was 200, maybe Van Persie was 300, there's, I think Aubameyang was 700. Let's not spend the rest of the show trying to get all the hundreds, but have you got the list there?
No, I haven't.
No, fair enough.
I've just got one more for you.
What
was the connection between the first goal scorer, Gilberto Silva, against Middlesbrough, I think it was, back in August 2006, and the 1,000th goal scored by Trossard on Saturday? What did Trossard and Gilberto Silva have in common?
Was it both finishes at the back post? Is that the link?
Technically, yes, but that's not the answer.
Okay, all right. Well, I'll take half.
It's something to do with the shirt.
I don't know, both had gold on it. I don't know.
No. Number.
Both number 19.
Gilberto Silva used to play in the number 19 shirt.
Oh, yeah.
And so did Trossard play number 19. I couldn't believe that when I saw that over the weekend, but that's
true.
true.
You know what? That's a good one.
That's a really good stat. You want to put that in the AFTV quiz, by the way.
Hey, if Talia's watching for the quiz,
and direct it to me if I'm ever on it. Right, now the second one. All 6 of Leandro Trossard's goals in all competitions this season have been assisted by Bukayo Saka, as we said. It's the most one player has assisted another in a single season for Arsenal since 2015-16, when we had our assist king and our striker up front playing that year. Who do you think those 2 players were?
Was it Ozil and Giroud?
Giroud and
Ozil?
Ozil, Giroud.
Yeah,
well done, mate.
Yeah.
Well done. Arsenal unbeaten in the last 38 Premier League games against promoted sides, now won 33, drawn 5. This was Mikel Arteta's first home win against Burnley. I think he's now won against every team he's played against in the Premier League. And finally, Fabio Vieira became the 7th Arsenal player to be sent off in a substitute appearance in the Premier League, the first since Eddie Nketiah against Leicester in July 2020, and the 9th time a Vieira has been sent off for Arsenal. The last time was Patrick Vieira in 2003, James.
Is that so? You got eight red cards, Patrick Vieira?
Yeah.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Graham, a big thank you. Hope you all enjoyed the show. Make sure you go subscribe to AFTV if you haven't yet. Get in the comment section. We're always there to read your thoughts. And by the way, there's some great insight from everyone who writes in. So we want to know your thoughts. We want to know what you make of all this, what you will see post-international break, how you feel about Arsenal's style of football, how you feeling about the fact that we are now level with Liverpool and a point off City and a point off Tottenham. The title race is well and truly picking up steam. And then we'll be back in 2 weeks' time as we enter the Christmas period. It gets intense, it gets busy. We'll be here to react to all of it, and we'll be here to give you all the thoughts and feelings on the channel. Join us for Fan Zone, where you can have your say by downloading the AFTV Plus app, and you can join us as well. Many thanks. Catch you in a bit.